and welcome back to the Up and Out Reds podcast, the podcast that provides you everything that you expect from a footballing podcast with a bit of added extra marpe and digal as promised by us every single week. And as always, I'm joined by Anil. Anil, how are we doing this week?
Yeah, that's how's you all right, man? All good, man.
Shit,
All
all
good.
good. What did you make of the game then this weekend?
Straight into it, yeah, straight into it.
Well, you know what? I just thought I'd get you your general points early doors. You know what I mean? We've talked a bit off air. I think we've got to set the tone early on.
Set the tone early, man. Charlie, we might as well just say what we were saying off air, man. Yeah, it wasn't an amazing watch.
No.
We got the 3 points, which is obviously I'd rather get the 3 points than have a wicked game and lose. So 3 points, very, very important. Game, they were cruising. They didn't. Did Forest even have a shot on target? Because I'm sure towards the end of the game they kept saying no shot on target.
I'm sure they had one towards the end, but I'm not too sure.
Nah, because even that one hit the bar, didn't it?
It just looked like they didn't even put much of a threat up. You know, like you
Nah,
said,
that's what I mean. I think
second gear.
I think Liverpool as well. They kind of they knew they weren't really in a battle.
Yeah.
They kind of knew they weren't going to be pressed much. There's probably like about a 5 minute spell before we got the first goal where you might have thought, hang on, is this going to be one of those games? But as soon as they scored, there's no looking back really, was there? Yeah, good performance. It's a solid performance. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to take anything away from them. Because it was so easy, it kind of feels like they didn't play well, but they actually did play really well and they made it easy for themselves. And they, I don't want to say this because it's making it sound like we're trying to play like another team, but they were very Man City-esque, controlled the game, passed it around. You know what I mean? They didn't look like they were in trouble at all at any point, barring a couple of minutes when they had a few chances that they really didn't do anything with. So, yeah, nice, efficient performance.
Bit different to the games around in the past few weeks where it's been up and down, last minute thrillers, conceding goals late on. And I think the best part for me, obviously, we mentioned that we didn't really have to get out of second gear, but it was nice to see that instead of the defense having a shaky start to the early hours of the game, it was more so the attack not clicking as well as they normally do. You know, I think early on we saw Szoboszlai have a few edge of the box, just miscontrolled it. Same with Gravenberch, exact same thing. And I think that's better than our defenders having an absolute stinker and us conceding early on. And I think that shows that Klopp's finally getting it to work. And you could see that, early on, the ball's been pinged about everywhere, and eventually, as we predicted, as we normally do, we seem to be getting it right.
We're getting good at this, isn't it? We're getting good at this.
We have to start putting some bets on, put
a
pool committee together, get a bit of money together.
That's it, man.
Because at the minute, we're putting some good numbers up. And as we said, we sort of get the early goal. Diogo Jota tap, and we had threatened, Turner's made a good few saves, but Jota every single time, Jota the slaughter every time, he's there in the box. And he gets the goal. And like I've said to you all along, this is what we get this man in this team to do.
Well. Before you, hold your horses, before you get too excited, how was that chance created?
Well, I know your man, Nana Nunes.
That's the one, in it.
If anything, we're partnering in crime at this point. We're picking the right horses.
I swear, I've seen this video on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. It's like this South American guy. Must have some disabilities, like we've got a really big head, teeth sticking out, eyes bulging, and like
we had.
I'm telling you, he's trying to score and literally cannot score. He's like hitting the bar, hitting the post. He's got an open goal and it goes wide. I'll have to send it to you just to so you know what I'm on about.
Sure, you went on Suarez's account.
Nah, but I'm telling you, when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm on about and you'll laugh. And I feel like Nunes is like
close.
that, man.
He does come close sometimes, but not on Sunday.
I swear to God, everyone would be like saying, Haaland, who? If he put away all the chances that he created, he would literally be on like about 50 goals in the first 5 games. The geezer just cannot. Well, I was going to say can't compose himself, but even some of the shots he's taking and what he's doing, like against midweek against Toulouse, the one that he missed and Gravenberch ended up tapping in. The composure. But it's just that final touch, man. Just can't get it in the goal, can he? And he can. He's just not getting every single chance he gets in the goal, which at the moment isn't costing us. But I'm guessing at some point it's gonna end up being decisive, shall we say?
The thing is, though, it's one of the dilemmas that I think Liverpool are probably lucky to have that they didn't really have, seasons before. Even when we had Firmino, Mane, and Salah, it was the same thing where they were having shots on shots and shots, and obviously not all of them went in. But the fact that you're getting players in those positions to have those shots, if you think before that, Sturridge for his latter days couldn't do it. Ricky Lambert, Carroll, the likes of that just couldn't get it done. Benteke, had those chances, but we didn't have that sort of player who had chances over and over again. And Salah was the one that had them, that was burying them. And
Yeah.
now we've got Nunes. I think it's only good signs that he has this many chances. Obviously, we talked about before that he has to bury some of these. And I think Klopp talked about the fact that he has to bury these chances. And we've seen, I think this season, he's buried a lot more
Yeah.
than I expected him to actually score, to be honest with
Well,
you.
his numbers aren't that bad, are
They're
they,
not
this season,
terrible
club and
whatsoever.
country?
If you think the games he's come on, scored,
Yeah.
the momentum that he's got in the games for us, I think it's all things pointing in the right direction. The chances that he managed to finish, on the weekend, it's just a little tapping. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's position that got him there.
Positioning, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
And that's the most important thing, that he is right in those circumstances. And like we've said, I think at some point, once he starts banging them in,
Yeah,
people
man.
forget, one, the
If he,
pride,
yeah,
and
we
the
need them both to be one player, don't we?
yeah,
Jota and Nunes, if they were one player, Jesus, that would be frightening. Because, like you said, Jota just knows how to score. He knows how to score. He knows what position to be in. He knows when to, you know, pass it at the right pace. He does everything right. Again, he's not having a bad season, is he? He's actually being in the goals we want. That's with a sending off and a ban in there as well. Nunes, again, considering how much he's actually impacted us this season, we're still talking about him as if it's a negative. But at the end of the day, he's improved. He's improved, and he is improving. And if he carries on improving, I can genuinely see him being in the near future a Liverpool's top goal scorer. You know what I mean? In a season. I know Salah's taking the piss at the moment, but Nunes will at some point take over. And we keep talking about whether he's going or coming, Salah's going or staying and things like that. He will at some point. I guarantee you will be Liverpool's top goal scorer in a season.
I mean, he's not far off though, is he? He comes in, he gets the goals. I know that obviously Salah, like we said, he's up there. But Nunes, every single week, he's either chipping in with a goal or assist, as much as Salah is. And considering Nunes isn't playing the full 90 minutes, the past few weeks he's come on off the bench, got an assist, or he's come on and scored. And I think it all points to good signs, especially when we know that all of our attacking players can come on, get a goal, and there's never been an issue with that, especially in recent weeks. I know there was a stat that came out that every time Jota has played and scored for Liverpool in a game, they haven't lost. So it just shows that, again, half the time Jota isn't in the starting 11. He comes off on the bench and he comes on and scores, and Liverpool are still managing to win that. And I think that is such a glorious option to have. When we look at the Thunder in the rest of the league who can't seem to score a goal or then, can't seem to defend either. So I think that balance is just about coming together for Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah, man. And it's a weird one, isn't it? I feel like after this game, it's such a positive result, positive performance, 3 points, staying on the toes of Tottenham and Arsenal and City. Why does it feel like a downer?
I feel like we're so used to just the like Hindi drama football that we get.
I think that's what it is, man.
Everything going on.
I think this is why Klopp loves the club at the moment, because they're showing some good team performances. And they are genuinely, I think, comfortable with the players. I mean, do you want to go through the roster? Flipping out, every performance is just week by week improving, and we got players in our team now that are just absolutely smashing it. Gravenberg again, man. Szoboszlai, Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. You know what I mean? Mac had a wicked game. His defensive record was off the scale, man. You know what I mean? He's playing in a position that he doesn't really want to play in, and he's killing it. You know what I mean? We got a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Did Alisson make a good save? I'm sure I remember him making a good save at one point as well, or catching the ball, keeping it nice and steady for the defense. And it's just all across the board, we've got performances that are just, I mean, even with our substitutes, you know what I mean? Coming on, scoring goals that were disallowed for offside. To be fair, he shouldn't have been offside, but just that is confidence in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We are in a good place. We are in a good place. And I think these games that are coming thick and fast are probably good for us because at the moment we're not playing massive teams. So we can experiment a little bit. So you know what? Good times, man. Good times.
I think the best bit is we're quietly in a good place. I think everyone's looking around and thinking, oh, Liverpool are doing well. There's obviously they talked in midweek, oh, Liverpool don't belong in the Europa League competition, but no one, feels personally around the club that Liverpool aren't exactly where they need to be. If you look at the league, yes, we've lost a few games, but so's everyone around us. You don't need to be, I don't think this season, that machine that you had to be 2 seasons ago, because we saw that it's unsustainable, unfortunately, and the players that performed in that season couldn't replicate it. Unfortunately, we had to sort of change those players, or they didn't play at the same intensity. And I think now we've got to a point where it seems a sustainable brand of football for the club and for the team in general. If you look,
it's a different style. It's a different style, isn't it? Like you said, it's a different style. I think with the midfield we got now, they're probably more comfortable passing it around.
Yeah.
I still not massively comfortable when it goes to the back three, and that when I say back three, the goalkeeper and the 2 centre backs.
Yeah.
When they're passing it about, Van Dijk seems too relaxed to me. Sometimes he's too relaxed with the ball, and I think, you know what, you need to chill out a bit, man.
Every single week, man. Just Gala and Van Dijk. I was thinking this week, he's going to have nothing to say about him. He had a great game, and you just started already.
I don't know. Look, he had a clean sheet, and he had a good game. So I'm not bad man for him. I'm just saying, Kanate probably more than Van Dijk. When he's got the ball at the back and he's trying to figure out where to pass it forward or backwards, it looks like he's shitting his pants and he doesn't really quite know what to do. And he just looks for Van Dijk. He's like, buddy, Lela, buddy. You know what I mean? One of them ones. I think we need a bit more composure at the back, but also a bit more urgency. I don't think they pass it out as quick. Whereas in midfield, oh my God, man. Every time Gravenberch gets the ball, he's turning, and he's looking, looking. He's not thinking, oh, let me hold the ball. Let me see if Van Dijk's free, pass it back to him. Let me get in space. The first thing he thinks of is turn around. Szoboszlai's the same. Get the ball, turn. I mean, even that, does it count as an assist to Salah?
Yeah, because nobody touched
okay.
it.
Even that assist to Salah was like literally in his own box.
Yeah.
Chested it down, passed it. First thing he's looking at is, where's my boys? Let me get them ball. And the midfield at the moment are so comfortable with the ball, and I don't think we had that with, like, Fabinho was good at getting the ball off opposition, but again, I don't think he was comfortable with it. He was always looking for a pass off,
just pass it, sort of thing. I think he enjoyed actually playing a bit further up the field. I think if we look at games where he actually played a bit further forward, we didn't have that really deep sitting role. He played so much better. Like, the City games and the big derby games. The goals that he used to score and the passes he used to play through, I think, and even if you look at that month of January, where he was the one that was our top goal scorer, and it was because he was playing a more forward role. And I think that's the same with our midfield now, is because obviously we know there isn't that much defense in there. It's more of a forward progressive role, but still having to defend a little bit. And I think
that's the thing. I think that's the thing, isn't it? When you're not expected to be the last man who's going to save you if the other team's on the attack. I think there's a lot less pressure. And with our midfield, rather than it just being one holding midfielder, I think we've got so much energy in midfield that they all do that job. And I think they know they're going to cover each other's back, and I think they're going to help each other, and they're going to make sure that intensity is there. I think early on with Klopp's early team, I say the early team, like when we first started winning stuff, they were all energetic. They were all energetic. They had so much energy. It looked like they were on drugs. And you wonder sometimes whether we got away with a drugs ban or something, because they were all hyper. They were on something, or Lucozade tablets or something.
I think it was asthma inhalers from the what the newspapers were saying.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think that's what it is. We got a new generation of players that have got energy, who want to achieve what the last squad, I suppose, achieved. They don't want to live in that shadow. I know our defense is still more or less the same. In fact, it's exactly the same as a team that won. That's the only part of the team that's literally the same. We've got a whole new team, and luckily for us, they're gelling so quickly.
Mhm.
Good, man. It's good.
It's good times, I
It
must
is,
say.
isn't
And
it?
I think you can't complain, really. I think
Yeah.
definitely looking at obviously the last pod where we were a bit upset by the Tottenham game still. I think
I still
yesterday,
am. I still
don't
am.
get me wrong, deep down it hurts, but I think
Yeah.
yesterday just filled me with a bit of confidence. I can't lie. I think it was just the way we played. It felt like that imperious Liverpool that were back. Never had to get out of second gear. Just players just playing the best that they can in their positions, and I think that that's what we need with this run going forward with the teams we play against. Is if the team doesn't have to full out press and fully play to their third, fourth ability, and the players just play to the best of theirs, that's just going to be much better than having to go full throttle every single game.
That's the thing as well, isn't it? It's we well, say that's the thing. The squad depth is now, I think, better than it has been for a while.
Yeah,
And I think the players that we've got on the bench that come on change the game.
yeah,
Whereas before, I think they were coming on just to, get fresh legs.
yeah. A bit
I mean,
stale.
like, don't get me wrong, Milner used to come on and he's a legend. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but I always feel like he used to come on just to get a bit of energy running
yeah.
around in the midfield. I don't think he really came on to change a game.
No,
Whereas you're bringing on players now and you're thinking, okay, you know what, they might actually do something. Harvey Elliott, I think, he works better as a sub.
yeah.
He comes on, he's got so much energy, but he creates so much chance. If he learns how to shoot, I'm telling you, he'll be a great sub man because he
I think
gets
it'd be
chances.
exactly the midfield that we need. Then is someone who is just dogged, runs around everywhere,
Yeah,
but
man.
can finish and can shoot from midfield. Almost like a secondary generation of Ox in his prime. So I definitely think that he's getting there, and I think
He's
it's just
getting there. I think he'd make a wicked number six. I know he'd be
you
wasted.
think,
I think he'd be wasted as a six because attacking wise, he does give us a
yeah,
lot of pace down the wing. But he's like you say, such a dogged player he's got so much pace and he's small. He's like a bit like Salah. It's hard to take the ball off
yeah.
him once he's got it because he's got that. He can turn quite easily and hold off players. I think he'd make a really good six man.
I think the problem you've got there is you've got Pacetic in that position as
Yeah,
well,
I
who's
know. I've been
just
waiting for him to come back.
incredible. When
I
he's
know. I know.
back and he's, and again, when we've got so many
Match
games,
fitness.
we need that depth. He's just such the perfect player to play in that position, and I think Klopp really is sport for choice at the moment. And I think when I look at Elliot now and how he's progressed, it makes me think, is that what Carvalho was supposed to be in that midfield and sort of an option for
Is he still
Liverpool?
on the books? Has he
Well,
been
he's
sold?
gone on loan now, but
He's
I'm
gone on
not too
loan.
sure if Klopp was keen on him. Is the thing that
And
I've
what do you know
been
what
looking at.
happened there? Do you
I
read any
don't know.
rumors?
To be honest, this is a good point to talk about actually, because it's something I was going to talk about. Is what do you think is what Klopp does that means that the players seem to work so well, and we don't have these issues? If you look at United,
Much
even
insight,
you
yeah,
look at
yeah.
City, where you look at all these different clubs, Chelsea, where they just seem to crop up every single week where a player's unhappy or there's a dilemma in the club. And it all seems to come out and it just creates that sort of toxic atmosphere. And you look at
Yeah,
Sunday,
yeah.
obviously, the situation with Luis Diaz, Summit, I thought it only could happen in Punjab, not in, Colombia and places like that.
I'm
Obviously
telling you.
devastating. But the unity in that moment that Jota scores a goal, straight instinct, obviously go and celebrate. That was there. But the club, the players, everyone had that. And it just seems I can't think of there being a problem player in the past few years that Liverpool was out and out saying we don't want this player, and it was on the books and in the press that we didn't want this player and he needs to get out of this club. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I think, yeah, there's a few points there to mention. Talk about Diaz first.
Yeah,
What a crazy story, man.
yeah,
Can you imagine? Yeah, I can't even imagine what he's going through, man. But yeah, fault to him, man. His mom got released, wasn't it? Is
yeah.
that
I think
right?
they managed to get his mom, but I think
Yeah.
they're still looking for his dad, and I think they
But
put
just,
a,
I
a
mean,
reward
yeah,
out.
I mean, what he's going through, you got to let him go back to
Yeah,
his country and sort out what he's going to do. Football goes to the back burner when that happens. The players as well, fair play to them. I mean, yeah, Jota brought out the shirt, shown the unity, brilliant, which you would. But can you imagine them lot while they're playing,
yeah,
how they're feeling as well? That's one of
mhm,
your boys. That's one of your
yeah,
boys. You know what I mean? Like some of them are probably really, really close.
mhm,
Probably texting 5 minutes before the game saying what's
yeah,
going on, everything all right, and then to play a Premiership game after that. I mean, fair play to them. But yeah, thoughts go with him, and hopefully his dad comes back, man. I can't imagine what he's going through. And then on the club, on Klopp, on what he does with his players, I've always thought this, and he's always said, the day you lot start recording my halftime talks and behind the scenes talks, he goes, that's the day I leave. And he said that quite a few times. He's not a big fan of showing behind the scenes footage.
No.
Very tight-lipped about how he talks to his players. But from what you hear players saying about him and how he talks to them, it's a father figure, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think rather than Ten Hag coming out, blasting Sanchez,
Yeah.
blasting, Maguire, saying nobody wants to buy him and, we're stuck with him kind of thing. Like, what's that going to do for your confidence? Nothing at all. Whereas Klopp, even when, let's say, Coutinho wanted to leave and end up going for a record fee, still tried to keep him and said, you stay here, you're going to get a statue. You go, you're just going to be another player. And he kind of knows what to say, who to say it to, and when to say it, and how to say it. And I think that's his best ability. I don't think he's some form of magician when it comes to coaching, because I don't think he does a lot of the coaching. I think he's got his, Pep Linders and all them lot. I think they take training and all that. I think he's more a tactician, but man management, I can't see anyone much better than him. I know you got Mourinho on that. Mourinho, people would run through brick walls for Mourinho and things like that. So here's another example. But Klopp, maybe it's the hug. Maybe it's the
something. We need to find out. Klopp
maybe he gives them a hug and squeezes their ass a little bit, and they're like, okay.
He's doing something special, and he's doing something that the players' wives aren't doing because they keep going back to Klopp. So
I'm telling you, like every time I see Szoboszlai doing an interview, it's like, oh my god, man! Have you seen how happy he is when he talks?
I know.
I mean, he's struggling to speak fluent English. His English is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking his English, but you can see he's just happy. He wants to talk. He just wants to tell everyone that he's having a good time and he's enjoying it there. You can't.
You don't blame him though, do you?
I can't help but smile when I watch his interviews, man. And Endo's the same. Like, the interviewer's asking him questions. He doesn't have to reply perfect English, but sometimes he just replies to the wrong answer to the question that's been asked. And all he keeps saying is, "Yeah, man, it's for the team. We're all happy. We all want to play together. We all play for each other." You know what I mean? The interviewer could be saying, "Oh, what's your favorite meal?" It's like, yeah, we all love each other. We play for each other. But I think it's just drilled into them, innit? I wonder. I would love to be in like a Klopp's fly on the wall, Klopp's wall. You know what I mean?
100%.
What he does, man. He must do something.
I think it's more amazing the fact that he's been here for so long and the atmosphere's been the exact same, even when there's been some tough seasons. Like even in the season where Van Dijk got injured, we had no centre halves. Not once was there that toxicity amongst the club. Not ever. I think the only time was probably when the Super League came out, but it wasn't in the club. It was obviously towards the ownership and everything outside of that. But even then, he was a stabilizing influence and all that every single time. When he first came in, doubters to believers comment. He knew that we weren't going to be amazing straight away, and still everyone stayed on board. And I just find it incredible that he's done it for so long, and no manager, even if you look at Eddie Howe, he's getting that sort of atmosphere going at Newcastle.
Yeah.
But over such a prolonged period of time, it's just incredible. And I think it just shows on the pitch now. And like you said, he seems so much happier with this club. And he's mentioned, how happy he is, how willing he is to stay beyond, the time that he said that he would. But I just think it's such a credit to him. And I think it's just amazing that everyone's still,
I don't think he'd be here this long, if I'm honest.
No, me
neither. After winning all the stuff he'd won. Seasons. Yeah, because the last two clubs he's been at, he's had similar kind of exit after having a dip after a really high peak. But he must see something because he's staying. One, he must love the place.
Yeah.
I think he does. Two, the club loves him. The fact that he had and we keep saying he had a poor season. Yeah, he did, but we was only a few points off top four.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know because
that's the crazy bit when you think about it. Is that's
not one game away.
I know. Yeah. And that's the maddest thing about this club is how high the expectations have become. And it wasn't even a disappointing season. Obviously, the media sort of, created that, but I think internally it felt the same thing, that this team, even though, they'd struggled, they still could have achieved so much more. And we've seen that before, that being the case as well.
Okay, yeah. I think obviously there was a hangover from the four finals the season before. That is obviously what happened last season. This season we've got no excuses. But I still think there's something that Klopp is gonna have to. What am I trying to say? Klopp's gonna have to try and find something to get us past this like hangover that we had from last season. And at the moment it's working. At the moment it's working. I think he's gonna need. Oh, one, we need Man City to drop some points, don't we? They're the only team that are going to stop us. I mean, the 2 seasons where we had 90 plus points, they were the only team anywhere near us. We could be talking at Klopp being a Premier League legend if it wasn't for flipping Guardiola and his team. So we can't knock him too much. The fact that he's still here and he's looking for a rebuild is fantastic. The fact that the fans aren't on his back and never have been is good. Like you said, the players are completely on his side. Even the players that leave. I know Jordan Henderson said something recently that was kind of negative, but Klopp didn't bite back.
No.
And I think that's his policy, isn't it? Never ever.
He was so open about what he'd said. He said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I said," but it was out of respect for him. And I think that again shows that even when players, make these comments, like Carvalho had sort of said that, he loved the club, but there just wasn't, a right feeling at the time. But the same again, no comments were made in that regard. And I think it just sort of keeps everyone confident, keeps everyone happy, and it doesn't destroy the morale whatsoever.
Yeah, and like I said, just across the M62, what goes to Manchester from Liverpool?
The
M60, whichever one it is. The way he's treating his players, and the way he's coming out in the media, and he's just so negative. You look at Ferguson back in the day; he would never badmouth any of his players, and he'd always take a bullet for them and have a go at them in the changing room. I'm pretty sure that's probably similar to what Klopp's doing. And I think Klopp has talked to Fergie a few times. I'm sure he's mentioned it as well. So he's probably learned what he knows from a lot of the people that he admires, and he's really good friends with Ancelotti, and he's spoken to Wenger quite a lot. I think Wenger came down and spent a bit of time at Anfield, so he's got a lot of experience in terms of people he's spoken to, a lot of experience in terms of himself, where he's been and what he's done. And I think I'm so glad that, and I hope this rebuild works, because if it doesn't, then it will start coming towards the end of Klopp's era. And I can't imagine a Liverpool after the Klopp era.
It's a dark, devastating time just to even think about it.
I know. Hard times, man. Just thinking about it, I'm getting upset now. Stop it. Move on.
Well, moving on. Let's sum up the Nottingham Forest game with our normal conclusion, with it being mixed grill. Who's getting one this week?
Mixed man of the match.
I know
that's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one, man.
On
no, I can't keep giving it to Nana, man. Can't keep giving it to Nana all the time. You go with yours first. Let me think about it. Go on.
I think for me, it's going to be Mr. Dominic Szoboszlai, because wow, just wow. Like, I was actually blown away this weekend, which is crazy to think, because he just does it every single week. But he was just everywhere, and he was just involved in absolutely everything in some regard. He either put the pass through or he's made the run. He's just incredible. And again, like you said, he's so happy to be here. I just think he needs to go out. Just tell him, just go. Look, buddy, look here. I'm on masala fish. Have some tandoori. Have some keema on. Sort him out.
Nah, man, let him do what he's doing. Why are you going to change his diet for?
What do you mean? Just Carlen the Mondenu. He's not going to be in England forever. Just let him come and have a bit of food. They probably don't have this in Hungary. You know what I mean? They're going to have protein and stuff like that in Hungary, are they? You know what I mean?
He's forever going to be hungry.
Well, he's
that was terrible.
I'm
going to drop one once a week in it.
That's how he knows that up now. He's forever pukka. He always is there for the food. So you know what I mean? It's got to be Dom Szoboszlai this week, 100%.
Man, I can't disagree with that. How many? We could give it to him every week.
I
Like
think
genuinely,
we
we
try
could
and
give it to him
avoid
every
it,
week.
but genuinely,
That's what I mean. Yeah,
every single time I just take a few kebab back for him because he deserves it every single week.
he's next level, isn't he? He's just
He's
completely
incredible.
next level. Like, where has he come from? How did they find him, man? And why did no
That's
one
the
else
thing
go
that
for him?
he's been on everyone's radar for so long, and he's been at Leipzig for for a good stretch of time. Obviously, at Salzburg before that, and you just look at him and you think, wow. And it just seems like people looked at him and thought he's not actually worth the money, and he maybe isn't as versatile as he is, but he is just absolutely incredible. And I think that people will be scouting him out, looking at him, and just thinking, we really should have picked him up a lot sooner because he is
Yeah,
just
man.
he's a gem. And I think, as we've mentioned a million times before, the recruitment when it comes to midfield this summer, at first on the surface, it was disappointing, obviously with Bellingham, but God, they've got it right.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with you, but I will disagree with you. Not disagree with you, but I'll pick someone else. I'm going to go with McAllister. I
McAllister
thought he
looks
had
good.
a solid game, man. And
Yeah.
again, playing in a position he doesn't want to play in, but absolutely smashing it.
Mm-hmm.
So he can get some Argentinian steak on that
Treat
mixed
him.
grill.
Treat him.
Yeah, he's slowly becoming like the old McAllister.
Yeah. Well, he does give me sort of Xabi Alonso vibes, I must say.
You
Just sort of
reckon?
that creative midfielder. Obviously, I think he doesn't have that, defensibility as well as Xabi Alonso did, but the passing, the movement,
Yeah,
just
true. Yeah, you're
everywhere up
right,
and
you
down
know.
the pitch, the technical ability. I think the
Yeah.
swagger as well, the stature of the
Not
man.
as good yet, though. I'm not
Not as
gonna
good
rate
yet,
him that
God
high.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Xavi Alonso's
he's got
ledge.
something about him. Definitely. The way he passes the ball is just
Yeah.
beautiful. It just seems like we've got the old school Liverpool midfield back. I can't lie. But they just seem like, a Gerrard regen. We've got a Xabi Alonso regen. We're,
Yeah,
missing the
true.
Mascherano, but it just seems like the
They're
pieces are
putting
there.
something in his dial, innit? They're putting something in his
Putting
dial.
something. It's that or in his whatever his Argentinian jar that he's drinking. One of them. Something's got some masala in it, man.
Man. Messi must have rubbed him off. I mean, rubbed off on him.
Hey, what happens at Argentinian camp stays in Argentinian's camp. Leave him to them.
Yeah, man. I think those are the two. What do you reckon? Any Chaperas this week?
I can't lie. I think I'm going to keep my hands in my pocket this week, and I'm just going to let them be happy for once. I just don't think you can give any of them a beer. I think for once they deserve it. Obviously, we said it was just a very second gear win, but I think
Yeah.
that was a win that we needed this week.
Completely agree with that, man. It was
Yeah.
a solid
Wow.
performance.
Can you believe
No
that Uppany giving no beer?
Chaperas.
This is
You know, it's
revolutionary,
the
man.
21st century, man. It's like
This is
it's
crazy.
2023. We're not allowed to give Chapera anymore. We get
Wow.
reported. But if they give us a bad result, it'll definitely bring out Chapera again. But yeah, there was no one, was there? There was genuinely no one. I mean, the only negative I can think of was oh bloody hell, his name out of my head now. The Dutch striker.
Gakpo.
Gakpo, man, when he literally was looking in line with where the ball was coming from and still managed to be offside. That's the only thing I can think of.
I
The
mean,
only
again,
thing.
I just think we'd be nitpicking at that point.
Yeah, I know
The
exactly.
midfield early on, but other than that, just once they all clicked, it was a perfect game for them, to be honest with
That's
you.
it, man.
Which
That's
I
it.
think was ideally what we needed. Well,
Thumbs up all
I
round.
know, thumbs up all round. Everyone getting fed. No one's getting slapped. It just
Well,
sounds
everyone's
like a
getting fed, but
perfect
you know
Indian
what I mean,
wedding at the end of it. This is exactly what we needed.
there's no bunga at the wedding. What kind
No
of wedding is
bungal
that?
whatsoever. That is unheard of when it comes to Liverpool in the past few weeks.
Mm. You
Absolutely
know,
incredible.
I'm not complaining.
Me neither. Me neither. And I think, again, like we said, with the run that we've got coming up, 3 points is exactly what we need. 3 points is all we want. And 3 points is what we got given. And we just have to, shook it to the rub that we got it. We got it this week. Exactly what we wanted.
So let's look over to next week then. Well,
Shall
next week,
move.
next
Well,
game.
next game. Lovely. And now we'll move on from Liverpool winning to hopefully winning again. Obviously, we know that the football fixtures come thick and fast now. And this week, instead of Europa League football, we've got Carabao Cup ties. Now, the first point I think it's worth talking about is obviously we know that there's a bit of a title race going on. Liverpool are now sitting 3 points off leader Spurs, who don't have as many competitions, in their way. First of all, before we talk about Bournemouth, what impact do you actually think sort of playing in the Carabao Cup and playing in the FA Cup later on are going to have on Liverpool season? Do you think that if so, we have the depth to cope with it?
Yes, but in the early stages we will. I think when it starts coming towards obviously the bigger teams and the Premiership teams, then I think he's going to have to start playing his stronger teams more often, which might lead to fatigue, might lead to injuries, might lead to, players just not having the energy to do what they normally do. So that's always going to be a problem towards the end of the season. I think when we got to the four finals, I think we kind of saw it then, where he was having to use the same players all the time, like within a short space of time. At the moment, I think we've got a luxury of we've not actually been given any massive challenges with the teams that we've played. And the run of Premiership games at the moment is very favourable. So I think we are lucky at the moment. Bournemouth away is not easy though.
No, not in any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It's never been an easy fixture for us in any regard.
So I mean, on paper it looks like we should win, but it's never the case, is it, with Bournemouth away? And knowing Klopp, he will have two teams. He'll have a first half team and he'll have a second half team. You know what I mean? He'll have his big players waiting just to come on in case, the B team doesn't quite do it. But like I said last pod, I'm quite happy with our B team at the moment. We've got some players that I'm actually looking forward to seeing more regularly. So the more competitions we're in, the more chance they'll get to play. And I think that's exciting. But at the same time, it is a little bit nerve-wracking.
How do you think that we'll cope then? Obviously, we've got game Wednesday, game Sunday, a lot of travelling in between. How do you think?
We've got three away games, isn't it? Next 3 games.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a difficult sort of stretch now that we've got. Again, we already mentioned it's a long, difficult fixture ahead, and you can't afford to sort of be at second best. So, what do you actually think Klopp will sort of be thinking in the next few weeks in terms of how he sets up in this game against Bournemouth, and then Luton away? Obviously, it's a game that everyone's sort of been excited for, but we know that Kenilworth Road could be a very, very difficult place to play on.
The Premiership games, I'm not that worried about. I genuinely think we should go to, Luton away, win quite comfortably. Toulouse away, I think we should win quite comfortably. Do we only need a point, or are we already through?
In the Europa League?
Yeah,
I think we're all pretty much already through.
Pretty much already through. I think maybe
point.
potentially only need 1 point or something like that. Or if one of the other teams loses, we're through anyway. So that one, again, they're going to play with a bit of freedom. The Luton game is going to be something new for the players that I suppose will be a little bit exciting because it's a weird kind of stadium, isn't it? Bournemouth away is the only one I'm not confident in saying we're going to come away with a win. I think we will win, but I don't think it's going to be an easy win. And I think it's going to be a Klopp second half masterclass where he has to bring on Nunes, Salah, Jota, Gakpo, Szoboszlai, McAllister, all at the same time.
But I think, to be honest with you, is giving them 20, 30, 40 minutes is actually the best thing for them to be doing. I think if you look at sort of this weekend, Gravenberch obviously played midweek and then played on the weekend, but he seemed a lot more sort of ahead of it as opposed to the other two that hadn't played as much during the midweek as well. Same with Nunes. Nunes looked sharp when he sort of first started into the game. And I think that obviously we know when Salah plays, he has to play that 20, 30 minutes. He loves to play those 30 minutes just to keep his legs going a bit. And I think as well, it's a routine thing. And I think especially going forward with the games in the middle of the week, you want players to still be in that routine. The last thing you want is players sat on the bench freezing themselves to death and then struggling to sort of get ready for it on the weekend.
And then get injured later down the line as well. Yeah.
And I think that is probably another thing that Klopp's thinking about is making sure everyone gets minutes in the legs, doesn't injure themselves needlessly. But also,
that's the 50-50, isn't it? You put someone on. The 50-50 is you put someone on and you want them to get their legs stretched and get warm. But there's always that risk that some idiot's going to do a stupid challenge and injure one of our players. So it's a risk you have to take. But I think Salah at the moment, he's just saying, get me on. I want to get as many goals as possible. Haaland's in my sight. I want to beat him this year. I want to beat every Liverpool record. I want to beat every Premiership record. I want to break every European record. I think he's just got records on his mind, which is good for us because obviously that means he has to score goals. So yeah, Salah has to play at some point, doesn't he? And I think coming on 70 plus minutes against a team that's been, run ragged against our midfield, it's an easy catch in it. In like using a fishing term, he must love coming on at that time because he's thinking, I'm fresh legs. Literally, all I have to do is dribble past a couple of players and that's it, get a shot off. And it has worked. Do you reckon Bournemouth make some changes?
I think they will have to. Obviously, it depends again on sort of where their sort of loyalties lie.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've had some decent games this season, but at the same time, they have struggled to pick up points when, they really do need points. Obviously, looking at the bottom of that table, it is getting tight. No one wants to be in and around there. We don't know what could happen with Everton's point deduction, which might make it easier for a few clubs. But I think, again, what would you prioritise more, a cup competition or staying in the Premier League for another season? I think a lot of teams
this is the thing, isn't it? It's like, do you try and play because your fans are expecting you to play and, Liverpool are coming to town?
Yeah.
Or will they understand? I don't know, man. How would you feel if we was in that position? I'd want to see us try and get further in the competition, if I'm honest.
I definitely think that they will put out a strong team. That there's no doubts about that. We'll see the normal suspects. Solanke will most likely will be up there. But I think, again, it's how long do they play into that game? If they're losing 2-3-0, even if they're winning 1-2-0, what will happen in that regard? In terms of their decision making, because obviously, yes, you want to go as far as you can in the competition, but like we said, at what risk then? When games are coming thick and fast, and especially sort of for a club like Bournemouth, where they don't have that depth, they don't have that versatility and utility. What sort of comes into mind for them? And
what's the benefit of putting your first team out and then coming out with a loss and potentially a couple of injuries or stretched muscles? When you put it that way, it might be a decent game then because they might have a few changes. We're definitely going to have a few changes, and then it might actually be a competitive game. So you never know.
Score predictions.
I've won this one. We're not great away from home, are we? 2-1.
I was going to go for a 2-1 as well.
Yeah, 2-1. Tough win.
Yeah, definitely in the air.
Are you saying to Liverpool to Bournemouth?
To us, to Liverpool, yeah.
Definitely, 2-1 to Liverpool, man. 2-1 to Liverpool. I think we'll grind a winner. We'll grind a winner. I don't think it's going to be easy work, and I don't think it's going to be a loss. So, yeah, 2-1.
Perfect. We'll move on. Just two little points which have sort of just come to mind, but I also think it's important to talk about them when it comes to Liverpool. The main stand that they've looked to try and sort of build up on. Obviously, we know that they've said now it's not going to be fully ready until 2024. But interestingly, it's looking at causing losses of up to about 10 million or so. What does that say? One, about sort of the club's hierarchy and sort of its management. But also, what impact do you think that that's going to have financially for the club? Again, people have already bought tickets to these games in those stands, in those seats. And sort of, it does make a big impact, on fans and sort of our players as well. I've always mentioned that, they want as many fans playing there as possible. What do you think it says about the club at this moment?
I don't think you can bash the club. One, it's the building company that messed up, isn't it? In terms of finance, I don't think it's going to hit us because I'm pretty sure they've got insurance to cover all this kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure the company that folded would have had insurance that pays that. So I don't think financially it's probably going to hit us. The lack of atmosphere is probably going to hit us a little bit. I mean, it's always weird seeing like half the stand empty. I always thought it was going to be a tight turnaround anyway with what they expected. I didn't think it was going to be done till Christmas, if I was honest. So to take it now, to 2020, what date they're saying?
I think they've just said, but after the winter break, from what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I kind of expected that anyway. I think the start of the season was ambitious.
Yeah.
And I never expected it to be ready for the start of the season, especially when they were saying, "Oh, you know, we're still going to be working on it when we got a couple of away games."
Yeah.
That's always dodgy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
always
That's
dodgy.
proper dissy comp.
That's
That is
proper
the
this year.
ultimate
That's
dissy
literally
comp.
saying you'll be in your house by Christmas and you're not
Yeah.
moving in till
They're
next
painting
summer.
the walls as you're moving in.
Anyone who's ever bought a new build or has had an extension done will know that it never finishes on time. And if it does, then they've done a botched job and something's wrong somewhere. So in terms of losing money, I don't think it's going to affect them at all. What's the predicted financial loss?
Again, I think they've said about 10.5 million or something like that.
What's that to Liverpool, man?
Yeah, again, it's
Seriously.
not. But with the amount of money that we've been complaining about in the last few years, you never know how much 10 million can mean to these guys these days.
It could have been the difference with us getting Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to think about it. You got to think about it.
Don't worry, Salah's going for 300 billion.
You better not at this point. The way he's banging them in on
I
the
know.
streak that he's on, I'd prefer to
Did
keep.
we mention this last?
Yeah, we did talk about it.
What's the verdict? Would we want him to stay now? Would we still take 250?
Again, you know, what can you say at this point? You know, if
You
it
know
goes
what?
in
I think
January,
as Desi fans, we're still looking at the money.
yeah, of course we are. We're looking at whatever bolt we can get in after that. But
I'm telling you,
100%. But we'll keep until the summer. We'll see what he wants to do after that.
Well, we'll keep it till January. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
we'll get some more in
we'll
January.
see after that. But yeah, the next point I've just seen is Allison for the Yashin Trophy, the Goalkeeper of the Year trophy, is nowhere near the shortlist for 2023. Now, obviously, looking at that list, Emi Martinez is the one that's won it. Obviously, wins the World Cup. You know, played very well in that. Won a few penalty shootouts. But then the top four: Ter Stegen, Bunu, Edison. No Allison anywhere near this. I think that is borderline criminal, to be honest with you,
mate. That is a joke.
And I want to know how much money we need to put in the FIFA back pockets to get Allison on that list, because he is.
We only had one player, didn't we? Was the only Salah on the list?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Allison is probably. I argue that he's the best goalkeeper in the world.
He's a goalkeeper that changed our fortunes.
Yeah,
literally after he came, he changed the team. We became a winning team because of him. Yeah. He's bailed us out so many times. The ridiculous saves that he makes. I tell you why he probably didn't get it, because he makes everything look easy.
Yeah, 100%.
He makes everything look so 100%. Easy that they're not flashy. You know, like De Gea used to like jump and put the wrong hand out, and like Roy Keane used to just take the piss out of him, saying, "Why is he doing that for?" You know what I mean? He could have caught it. And I think that's what it is. But Allison just makes everything look so easy that maybe that's why he doesn't get the limelight. But in a sense, is it good that he's not on these lists and that other teams aren't looking at him? Or, well, maybe other teams are, but maybe the media aren't looking at him as this outstanding goalkeeper that Real Madrid might come in for and pay 200 million for. It might be a blessing in disguise. Like, for him personally, it's not good. But for us as fans, it might not be.
I think it makes him hungrier as well. Obviously, he seems one of those people, as I've always said, he's
but what can he do more? Like, what can he do more?
Man. Literally, he can't do anything more.
Genuinely, if he goes home and says, "What can I do to improve my game?" What can he do?
Score some more goals. That's probably about it. You've already scored one. Scorer. What are you doing, mate? Do some more. But yeah, again, I agree with you. He is just outstanding. And I think the way I always look at it is, if you look at Barcelona when Ter Stegen came in, they were winning before that. They were still a dominant team. Obviously, yes, he came and made them better. Edison, City was still winning. They needed someone, who could play with their feet. Yeah, he came and made them better, but they were already good. Same with Bayern Munich. Again, Neuer's obviously been there for a long time. He's elevated the team, but they're always a good team. Allison came in and absolutely revolutionised that back line with Virgil van Dijk and just elevated it to a team that were mid-table and were struggling in the goalkeeping department and has made it no debate whatsoever.
And again, Klopp went out and bought one key signing for one position, and it completely turned the club around. Van Dijk was one and he was one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I don't want anyone looking at him like, oh, maybe we should take him.
I hope not. The Saudis better get away and not start sifting around him.
I don't even say. I think if he was playing for, let's say, Real Madrid, Barcelona, he'd
Yeah.
100% be in it. Because I think it is because he's at Liverpool. He's just not getting a shout.
Well, hopefully this spurs him on for the weekend against Luton, and he pulls out a few acrobatic saves, keeps a clean sheet. And as our final conclusion for this podcast, Luton then away on the weekends. What's your thoughts on the team, and what's your thoughts on how it's going to go down?
I genuinely think we're going to have a similar kind of game to Forest.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get 2-3 goals quite comfortably. I think we're going to pass it around. The possession's going to be high 70, 80%. They're going to struggle to get the ball off us. And the flip side of that coin is Liverpool's coming to town, and it's a home game for Luton, and they might just thinking, "Fuck it, let's just go for it. Let's just go for it." You know what I mean? All or nothing, and then it might end up being a nice old school Klopp game where it's just end to end. But if I'm going to make a prediction, it's probably more likely to be like the Forest game where it's quite clinical, looks easy, not pleasing to the eye, comfortable win, and I'll take that. I'll take that. You don't want it to be a hard fought win. You want it to be quite easy, and you want it to be something that allows us to go to the week after and just, think about the next game rather than having to worry about, a battle that they're in.
And what about who's going to be up front? Obviously, I think we can guess the back line, guess the midfield at this point. It is just the front three. And I think this one will be quite interesting. Obviously, we saw how Nunes played against Forest, but I don't think Forest sat back as much as I feel like Luton will this time. And I think
I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Oh, here we go. Go on then.
You ready? Nunes hat-trick.
Bloody hell.
Nunes hat-trick. Tell you why. Because this is the kind of team that Nunes will not overthink.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be like, "Oh, it's Luton, man." He's going to look at the pitch like, "Man, this defense I can get past easily."
They're giggling Spanish in his room somewhere.
I'm telling you, our predictions.
They're getting good. I must say, we're putting them good.
I'm predicting a Nunes hat-trick. Nunes hat-trick.
So what's the final score we're going for? Is Nunes starting? Is he coming off the bench? What's it going for?
Nah, starter. Him, Jota. I don't think Diaz is coming back anytime soon.
I'm not too sure. I think he set out this week.
So Jota, I was going to say Dota then. Jota, Nunes, and Salah. I think it's going to be the same. The Premiership game will be the same. Nunes hat-trick, man.
Nunes hat-trick. Wow. Mm-hmm. Is that it? So what are you saying? 3-0 score?
Nah, I think we're going to get a good... Man, I'm going bold here, isn't it? I think we get about 5 goals.
5 goals and Nunes scores 3.
Yeah. Salah to score 1, definitely. Jota with a tap in, obviously, because that's all he knows how to do.
I'm taken back a bit by this 5-0 and Nunes hat-trick. I mean, it'd be amazing, but it just seems a bit far-fetched at this point.
I don't know. It feels like one of those games that's just going to end up being a run riot kind of game, I think. I don't want to predict. I don't want to over-predict, because if we win 1-0...
Yeah. Again, it wouldn't surprise me with Liverpool, but and I think that would be, again, goal difference might play a factor. I know obviously it's quite close at the top. All teams are sort of.
Oh yeah, actually that's a good point as well, because it might be. Yeah. We're not too bad actually, are we?
I think
we're Newcastle that are in front
about
of us.
12 or something like that. I think Newcastle have about 15. And obviously they had that massive result against Sheffield United. So I think it's on the cards. It needs to be happening.
Yeah, I reckon 5. I'm going to go 5-1. I think they'll score 1 just because they've got a bit of, Liverpool coming to town. I've said it before. They've probably got a bit of hype, and our defense is not the best. Yeah. When it comes, at the moment it's not too bad, but there's the dodginess of our defense, especially without Robbo in there. So I'm even going to go as far as to predict I think it's going to be a Tsimikas mistake down the left or down the right for them. Down our left, where the goal appears from.
Okay. So you've really got it nailed down. I'll tell you what, if this is
mystic.
I was about to say. You're a pundit at this point, coming out of everything, man.
Right. That's it, man. I need to sit like this, isn't it?
Yogi, they're going to sit you in the touchline after this. You never know.
One in it. Can you imagine if it comes back 5-1
You better go down the book.
with a Nunes hat trick? Oh, literally, everyone's gonna be like, "Yo, you're recording this after the game? That can't be right. You can't be recording this beforehand."
I think I'm going to go a bit
What
more
you
tame.
reckon?
I'm going to go a bit more tame, I reckon. I think it's going to be a more relaxed Liverpool game like the Nottingham Forest one. I think we might see a few players sat out maybe earlier on. I think maybe looking ahead, obviously the Europa League, sort of looking at wrapping up as well. And looking
I
at
don't
the
know.
game.
Why would he rest for the Premiership and then play
No,
for
no,
the
I
Times?
think they'll play, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they'll play full stretch for the entire game. I think
Yeah.
they'll score early on. I think it'll be a 2-0. I think Salah's going to get one, and I think Gravenberch is going to get one.
Oh, nice.
And I think
Nice.
and Szoboszlai is going to be involved in both of them.
Not your boy Jota.
No, I think he's going to have a quieter game this week. I think he's going to have scored quite a few in the Bournemouth game. I think he's going to get 2 in the Bournemouth game, and I think he'll be a bit quiet on the weekend. So I think definitely, yeah, it's going to be a midfield. I think they're going to be pinned up against our front three, and I think it's going to have to be from the midfield that something happens from there. And I think that's where Szoboszlai, Gravenberch are going to do the job for us. Completely different predictions there, but
I'm telling you.
somehow between us, we somehow managed to get it right along the way.
Well, yeah, one of us to get it right. It's more likely you this week.
Well, we'll
I'm
find
putting it
out.
out there. I'm putting it out there. You know
You've
what?
got to be ambitious. You've got to be
That's
ambitious.
it, man.
We're always ambitious. The club's
That's
always
it.
ambitious, and Apne are always deluded as well. So someone's got to be a combination of all of us.
That's the
Joel
one.
Anil, great times as always. Great times.
That's it, man.
And a
Hopefully
great.
hopefully we got some positive results to talk about next time we're here.
100%. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great pod as always. Great to be Apne and great to be Reds as always. And we'll see you next week for another edition of the Up on Our Reds podcast.
Ganga.